Hello everybody. Let's zoom out so we can see a little bit. Get ready to make our video for the homework for what's the day? What's that day say? I can't quite read it. Let me and then maybe I need to focus this a little bit better, huh? Who's that? Luke Skywalker? And the date is May the 4th be with you. You gotta love those dad jokes, huh? Yeah, you get to do that today. Tell people May the 4th be with you. Okay, any Star Wars fan will crack up. Anyway, yeah, Luke Skywalker. What we got here, we're doing the CPM out of the book. If you like the page number, it's the 411, which stands for info. I don't know if you guys knew that. I don't know if it's an old one of these old person things that you guys just don't understand. But it used to be if you didn't have someone's phone number, we didn't have Google, you would dial 411 and they'd say, what city? And you tell them what city. And you'd say, yeah, I want the phone number for Best Buy or for Costco or for the Roanoke Park Animal Shelter or for Joe Schmo who lives on 13 Main Street or whatever, right? And they would tell you the phone number. It was calling info is what they called it. So when you hear people say, give me the 411, it means they want you to give them the information. That's where that comes from. Okay, here we are. This is going to be one of those homeworks that I don't think is that hard. I think you guys have a lot of practice with these things. Again, it's on page 411, and we will review how to do a histogram with that second problem. These top four on 890, they're all about solving equations. And I think you guys have some good practice. So this will just be some more review and practice of something you already know. And then we'll finish the next few problems. It's not that bad. Okay. All right. Go ahead and start this and copy this down. You can see getting the easy points. Make sure you put your teacher's name and period, right, along with your first and last name and the date. I'm liking my students now to actually write down, if we're out of the book, what section are we working on? Okay, so this is 8.3.1 and what problem numbers, okay? Nice to put a title up there for the section, right? Don't title it homework. Again, that's like going to the library and looking at the different books and having some of the books be named book, right? You want to tell what is this about? And this is about the lesson 8.3.1. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit and we will do these algebra equations, right? Solve the equation. And remember what your goal is on these is you want to isolate the variable. All right. And that first problem, if I have f equals something down at the bottom, well, then I have an answer. And that's what's called isolating the variable. It's all by itself. In order to get rid of everything else so it can be all by itself, I have to do the opposite. Now, 5f, what does that mean? That means 5 times f, okay, which is the same as f times 5. I usually rewrite it with the letter, the variable first, and then I leave myself room to do the opposite. Remember, you're going to do the opposite to get rid of it. What is the opposite of times 5? Hopefully you're saying divide by 5. Okay, if I divide this side by 5, right after multiplying it by 5, I'm back where I started. All that's left is that f on that side. However, remember your equation, that equal sign means everything's in balance, and I can't do something to one side and keep it in balance unless I do the same thing to the other side, right? So if I am going to divide the left side by 5 so I can get rid of that, I have to just make sure I do the same thing to the other side, then it remains in balance. And now I go to my next step. These two things will cancel each other out because they're opposites. Times 5, then divide by 5. All that's left on that side now is the f. And on this side, I have 15 divided by 5. And what is 15 divided by 5? 3. It's a magic number. Okay. Now, if you want, I definitely recommend, especially on a test, once you have that answer, okay, if that is true, then I should be able to go substitute 3 in for f in my original problem. Now, that's not 53. Remember, it's 5 times 3. Is 5 times 3 15? Yes. So we could say, yeah, we did it right. Remember, you put a box around your answer Put a big box around all your work for that problem, and then you go to the next one. Okay? Again, your goal is to find out what W is, get it by itself. That's isolating it. How do you get rid of a times 3/4, right? You do the opposite or inverse operation. What's that? Divided by 3/4. But if I do it to one side, make sure you do the same thing to the other side. Okay? All right, I'm going to let you finish that. Don't forget to smell my feet. All right? Dividing by a number is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal, or that number flipped. Okay? What's my goal here? Isolate the variable. That's getting the y by itself. 1.6y means y times 1 6/10. How do I get rid of a times 1 6/10? You do the opposite. Okay, now I'm going to let you do that part. And what does p over 3 mean? P over 3 means p divided by 3. So I'm going to rewrite it in this format first. And then that leads me to do the opposite. What's the opposite of divided by a number? Make sure you do the same thing to the other side. Okay, I'm going to let you finish those three. I think you guys are good enough at these. If not, make sure you check in with your teacher during their office hours and get some help if you don't have time in class. Okay? Okay, this next problem has to do with these different countries and how much ice cream they eat per person. Okay? And you can see Australia eats 18 liters per person a year. Canada, 8.7, that's less than half. Chile, 5.6. China, only 1.9. Okay, but you think that's a small number. Look how much Japan eats. 0.01 liters per person. They don't eat a lot of ice cream at all. And look how much New Zealand eats. Ooh, man, more than us. Right? I thought we were the ones. So this is all these different numbers. They want you to make a histogram with these numbers. And they even said, make that histogram with bins of 4, 0 to 4, 5 to, okay? So, and really I'm writing 5, but this is 0 to 4. Anything bigger than 4, so 4.00001, right? We're going to put in this bin. Okay, anything more than 8 will go in this bin. Anything more than 12 goes in this bin, okay? Okay, and we're making a histogram. Now, do I need to have all the perfect numbers in the states in all these? All I'm doing is I'm going to put tally marks. Okay, so Australia, 18. What bin does that go in? That's in this one over here. Put a little tally mark. Canada, 8.7. That's more than 8. So I'm going to put it over here. Okay, Chile, 5.6. China, 1.9. Denmark, 8.7. That's more than 8. I'm going to put it over here. Well, it's the same as Canada. Finland, 14. Okay, and you will continue doing that. When you get done, you have a total for all of the countries that eat between 0 and 4 liters of ice cream per year. You have all the countries that eat more than 4 but less than 8 liters per year. And if this is confusing to you, maybe you put a 4 here, right? You put an 8 there, you put a 12 here, right? So you know, okay? But fill these out and then you make your graph. You always want to title your graph. What's a good title for your graph? The same title that was on the table. Now, where did I get that table? That's right there in the book, right? Okay. So that's a good title. We could say ice cream consumption. What does consumption mean? If you consumed that ice cream, you ate that ice cream. So I'm just going to write ice cream eaten. Okay. Now you also want to label your axes. Remember the horizontal axis? I have that being my bins for the histogram. It's like a bar graph with no spaces in between. 0 to 4 goes here. More than 4 to 8 goes here. More than 8 to 12 goes here. Now, what am I going to label here? What is that? Well, what are these tally marks? They're countries. How many countries ate between 8 and 12 liters? Well, so we have to label that. Okay, countries. All right. And then you're going to finish making your tally marks. That first question it says how many countries are represented. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count them. Okay, that's all you got to do. Second question, make a histogram. That's the hardest one. That's the one I gave you a pretty good head start on. That helped you out, okay? Okay. Third question says, describe the shape of the distribution. Well, once you have your all the bars for the histogram filled in and shaded in, describe that shape. And then D, it says, why is it appropriate to calculate a mean for this data? And it says calculate the mean. Okay. Now, this is set up. Remember when you calculate the mean, what do? Add them up, count them up, divide. You add them all up, you get your total. You're going to divide by your answer to A, which is how many countries did you just add, right? And that's going to get your mean. Okay, so you're going to figure that out. And if you do write them like I do, try to make sure that you line up those decimals. I want to add the 9 to the 5 because those are both tenths, right? I want to add the 0 to the 5. I don't want to add this 1 to this 0 and 5 because that's 100. Okay, if you have to, put out another 0 for all these because that's the only number in the hundreds place. Okay, so make sure you line up because that's the biggest mistake some people make. Okay, F, it says incomplete sentences completely describe the distribution of ice cream consumption by discussing the center, the shape, the spread, and the outliers. Remember what the outliers are. If you put all those numbers on a number line, the outlier is kind of way out there away from all the others. Okay? All right. I'm going to let you do that. And we're going to flip the page and go over to 892. 892 says you have a square and the area is 81. What's the perimeter? Well, I need to find out what each side is. And do you know how to do that? Well, if you're doing our warm-ups, that's what a square root is. That's why they call it a square root. What number times itself equals 81? That's going to get you one of the sides. And if you add up 4 of those sides, you get the perimeter. Okay, I'm going to let you try that one. Okay, 8-9-3, we've got 3 division problems. 7 1/4. I'm going to use the C method on that and figure out what this is as a fraction. That's 4 times 8 plus 1. 28 plus 1 is 29 fourths divided by 3 eighths. And then Miss Nortz taught us to divide fractions. She said, smell my feet. You'll remember to keep that first number the same, 29 fourths. You'll remember to multiply instead of divide because multiplying fractions is what? Easy. Right? And that last letter, the F, you will remember to flip the second number. And remember, 3 eighths and 8 thirds are reciprocals. Okay, so dividing by a number is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. Okay, and then you'll figure that out. You can cross cancel on this by saying 4 goes into the bottom once, goes into the top twice. Right, 4 goes in 8 2 times. That's a little bit of a shortcut for you. I'm going to let you finish. When you divide like this with these kind of problems, remember the first number goes in the box. The second number is outside, and watch out for the math police, right? Do not divide with the decimal outside the box. You have to get rid of it. How do you get rid of it? Move it over to the right. Now, I only had to move it one spot. Make sure if I move it one spot outside the box, I move it one spot inside the box. And then before you go divide, you got to think, I'm smart. I'm smart. That looks kind of confusing. I'm going to spend 4 seconds and show everybody how smart I am by making this problem less confusing. Okay. And now you have 2 into 98.7. I'm sorry, 98.2. Let's make that 2 a little bit better. And don't forget, if there's a decimal inside the box, all you got to do is bring it up and start dividing. Okay, 9 9/10. I'm going to use a C method. 10 times 9 to 90 plus 9, 99 tenths divided by 5 times 4 is 20 plus 4, 24 fifths. And then you smell my feet. Okay, 99 tenths stays the same. I'm going to multiply instead of divide because multiplying fractions is what? And instead of 24 over 5, I'm writing 5 over 24. Okay, now you can simplify again. 5 and a 10, and 3 actually goes into both these if you want to cross cancel some more. Okay, Hugo made 6 out of 10 free throws or basketball shots. Victor made 10 out of 15. And the first thing you're supposed to do is write each boy's ratio of shots made to shots missed. Okay, so that is a crucial thing to say. Shots made to missed. Okay, if Hugo made 6, that part's easy. How many did he miss? That's not 10. He made 6 out of 10. So how many did he miss? You got to go 10 minus 6, right? So the ratio is 6 to 4 for Hugo for shots made to missed. Okay. Remember, you can write it like that. You can write it with a colon. And you'd say it the same way, 6 to 4. And you can write it like a fraction, 6 to 4. If you saw it as a fraction, you would probably simplify it, saying 2 goes into the top and the bottom. And you simplify it 3 to 2. Okay, you do that for Victor now. Don't forget, it's made to miss. Now, how did I catch myself and not make a mistake there and do 6 to 10? Because I wrote it in words. If you write it in words, take a little bit of extra time on these ratio problems, and then put the number right underneath, you'll catch yourself and you won't make the most common mistake that a lot of people make. Okay? All right. The next question, the last question, is who is a better shooter? Okay, so when you get done and you have those ratios of shots made to missed for both kids, then figure out who is a better shooter. Tell me who, and then tell me why. Okay? All right, you guys, I think you got this. Okay? Have a great Tuesday. By the way, did we tell you that Miss Hong, Miss Teichman, Miss Mulligan, Miss Gonzalez, and Miss Frazier are all super excited and happy you guys are here? All right. Can't wait to the fall when everybody's here, right? All right. Good to see everybody.